Hello, my name is Tanya. I occasionally do things, and last week's video was terribly boring. It was long, it was difficult to watch, it was difficult to make. So this week I've decided that I'm going to do something different and choose a lighter topic. So today I want to talk to you about death and decluttering. Several years ago, I was really into minimalism. I got rid of most of my stuff. I took most of my books to a local library. I have changed my life for the better, to be honest. And I got more intentional with the things that I do keep. But at the same time, I have always been a crafter, so I have a lot of materials. And as we crafters know, you shouldn't let go of materials too easily because they might come in handy one day, like really, and it really does happen sometimes. So I've learned balance, and I've learned to be kind to myself and kind to others, because for some people it's really difficult to let things go. My living space on a day-to-day basis looks relatively tidy because I cannot concentrate when there's too much clutter in the room, so I prefer to keep it out of sight. However, I do have some glasses and other things on my desk. I have some crafting projects laying around. I also have some boxes collecting dust in the corner, and I have a wardrobe. That's mainly because I don't have walls that could, you know, have an actual wardrobe. Hello, my name is Tanya and I have a junk room. I put things in there that don't have a home, and they annoy me if they stay in my line of sight. So I just put them behind this door. But recently we have been clearing out the attic, and a lot of things, the family things, have ended up there, and it looks terrible. Let me show you. Now, some of the things that are in here are actually useful. Like, here are my quilts that I'm working on currently. I just keep them here away from cats. And, well, some things just don't have a place in my main room, but some of the things that are currently in here are old clothes, old furniture, old glassware that hasn't been used in tens of years. And it's hard to let them go for older people often because those things were difficult to acquire. In the post-Soviet area, we have kind of a religious relationship with books, because books were a status symbol in a way. They meant that you belonged to a certain type of people, and they were difficult to get. They weren't very expensive necessarily, but they were just not available. You have to be in the right place in the right time to get some books, and not all of those books were bestsellers. I mean, all the books were bestsellers because whatever was printed was bought. And a lot of families in the post-Soviet countries have book collections of books that nobody ever read. And we find it very difficult to let go of books. I'm talking about books in particular, but a lot of things have the same kind of aura, but books are very special. And yeah, so things were difficult to get. Now things are very easy to get, and especially if we're talking about books, we don't even have to own physical books anymore. Like, I read a lot of junk. I don't need to buy all the paper books that I would have to store somewhere, I would have to dust them, I would have to take care of them, I would have to move them from place to place. That's not a fun time, and I'm never going to read them again. What often happens is that we assign sentimental value to things just because we've had them for so long, and maybe they aren't that special, and we need to be honest about this to ourselves. Like, does this bring me joy? Is this going to have any use for me in the future? Because sometimes no, and if you think about it, oh, I had it for 40 years, but do I even like it? Have I used it ever? Because maybe we're just keeping it because it was hard to get, and now it's hard to let go. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I've just made some observations over the years, and here's what I found. Also, look at this beautiful empty attic. We have some materials, and some laundry. But isn't it beautiful? The light is weird though. For me, conversation about decluttering was always also a conversation about death. Let me explain. When we let go of things that we don't use, that we previously wanted to have, we kind of have to let go of part of ourselves, of our identity that was made possible by those things. We kind of let one of our future selves, possible future selves, die. Because we say to ourselves, well, I'm never going to be that person who does this thing ever again. And that's unpleasant. The second aspect of this is that we have to accept the fact that all of this crap that we've collected over the years is probably not going to be used in our lifetime, because actually our time in here on this earth is limited, and it's just impossible to do all the things at once. So we have to make a decision. Do we want to have those things that we've collected and manage them and take care of them and dust them and move them and all that? Or do we want to spend the limited time that we have on something more fun, something more exciting? Like, if we have the stuff, it's going to be a recurring problem. We have to take care of it all the time, over and over again. But if we let it go, it's going to be done. It's going to be finished, and we'll never have to deal with this same crap ever again. That's going to win us some time back. And if you think about time as a limited resource, that means that you think about death. And thinking about death is difficult for a lot of people. It's unpleasant often, and some people avoid it like a plague. I personally live with death behind my shoulder a lot of the times. I don't think about it always, but it's not far away. And the feeling of presence of mortality is often strongest when I feel like I'm wasting my time. Like I'm stuck in a meeting that doesn't help anybody, that doesn't solve any problems, and I cannot leave. That's when I feel death breathing to the back of my neck. I'm like, it's not good. That's not good. Life is ticking away, and I cannot do anything about this. So I'm trying to make sure that things that I do with my time are meaningful. That's why I don't like cutting grass, because it's going to grow back in a couple of weeks, and I haven't yet figured out a way to take advantage of the thinking time that I can get when I'm cutting grass. Keeping things tidy is important to me because it means that I have more of my life to myself. It's important for me to have control over my time, and I'm mindful of things I get, things I bring into my life, and also things I keep in my life. And every once in a while, I get a feeling that, oh, this cabinet is getting a bit messy, I should take care of it. And this way, I have more clarity and I know what I have, because sometimes, well, like in this attic, we had so much stuff. It's unimaginable. We didn't even know what was in here, and that's part of the problem. So, but it's important to be kind to ourselves also, because when somebody becomes a minimalist, it's tempting to start helping people around us to realize how much time they're wasting with their possessions, but it's impossible to force anything good onto anybody, and you cannot get rid of other people's stuff without their permission. So it's really important to chill out and accept that nobody is perfect and life is messy, but the balance is possible to find. I think that right now I have a much better life than I did 10 years ago, when I had a lot more stuff to deal with. And yeah, be kind to yourself and others. And I'll see you next week with something more positive, I guess.